All right, we'll go ahead and get started. First of all, thank all of you for being here. My name is Jordan Lott. I am the team lead of communications for the IT department. Today we're going to be talking about, as you all know, the email upgrade moving forward as we're coming up to it. And with this process, we're looking to provide limitless accessibility to communicate with anyone, anywhere, anytime. So how do we do that? Well, first, like I mentioned before, I want to make sure you have access to this Q&A. Please submit these questions. We want to make sure that we are answering any question you may have. The extra part to this is that it is going to ask for your email address. What we're going to do is after this town hall meeting, even if we answer your question here in the town hall meeting, we are going to respond to your question via email so that you've got a response you can refer back to. Additionally, if it's something that is a new topic, maybe we haven't thought about it yet, we're going to add it to our growing Q&A section on our website that will be published in the next day or two. So we're wanting to be as comprehensive as possible and cover any questions that there may be. So multiple reasons why we're doing the Q&A this way with the bit.ly link, but please feel free to submit those either now, during the presentation, or closer towards the Q&A. We will be monitoring those as we go along. So why are we doing this? Why are we upgrading our email system? A couple reasons. Well, there are many, many reasons. But first off, we wanted to make sure that we were listening to anybody that was interested in voicing their opinion. So as many of you may know, and I see some of you that participated, last fall we actually ran 17 different focus groups, both here in Malibu and in West LA. Fun fact, the last time that Pepperdine upgraded or made any changes to, or not made any changes, but the last time that we made a major upgrade to the email system was 17 years ago, 1999. There have been additions and changes to it, but that was the last major change. If you can look at any other piece of technology in your office that's 17 years old that we're still using, points that we're ready for an update. So what did we find out in those focus groups? One of the things that we really thought was interesting was the use of folders. That was not something that we were anticipating. Just want to let you know we heard that, and so we're modeling a good chunk of our training material moving forward based on how people have used and are using folders. So how does that change as we're moving forward to this new system? Some of the other things that we learned that we didn't know about, or other topics that came up over and over again, obviously, were the inbox size limitations. That's one we've all experienced. The different looks based on the different environment that you're in. So if you're on Outlook on a PC, that functions very differently than Outlook on a Mac. You'd think the same program would work pretty seamlessly, but there are some variations. So we wanted to address that. Another piece is the multiple logins. A lot of us have personal Gmail accounts. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But that discrepancy between if somebody shares a file with me, am I logging in with my personal account? Is it my Pepperdine account? And there was some confusion. So that came up a few times during the focus groups. And then also security concerns. People want to make sure that their data is controlled and managed properly. So the next thing that we did was we did a survey. And so just to kind of give you an overview, I'll talk about the survey information first, and then I'll go into some of the benefits of this new email system that we're looking at, or that we are implementing. And then I will address some frequently asked questions. That'll probably be the first 35 minutes or so, and then after that we'll have open Q&A. So the survey that we did, as of February 24th, 180 submissions. As part of those submissions, just a brief rundown of what that total looked like in terms of numbers, about 64% staff, 28 faculty. But we asked some more detailed information, some more detailed questions, wanting to find out how people are already using Google Apps, because it is a list of tools that we already have access to. One thing that was reassuring to us is how many people are already using their Google Drive at work. If you put some of the percentages together, we're at 56% are already using their Google Drive weekly or more, or more often. That's a pretty good number. That's great that that's a tool that people are already using. This upgrade is looking at ways to expand that functionality. So we want to make that an even greater tool. All right, this is an important one. This is one that we found that's really been a driving force for us. On average, how much time every month are you spending archiving or deleting messages from your inbox? That's a lot of time spent messing with your inbox. 62% of our community is spending 30 minutes or more every month just archiving and deleting messages from their inbox. Or another way of looking at it is 40% of our community is spending an hour or more every month just dealing with their inbox. That's taking them away from the things that they should be doing for work, other tasks that they need to be getting to, but they can't receive their emails anymore. So suddenly they have to take that hour and go and delete and archive messages just so that they can start receiving emails again. If that isn't one of the most compelling reasons for us to look at making a change, this is one of the major driving forces for us. So that limited inbox issue. And then another thing that we thought was really enlightening for us was how many people are already interested in this larger view of how can we redo email? How can we look at this process totally differently? So we asked, kind of our goal is to have as many people as possible using Google Apps inside the Chrome browser. We found that sort of is the best case scenario. It is not the only scenario, but as we've been looking at it, that's where we found the most functionality. So we were curious, how interested were people in stepping away from Outlook and trying this new version of doing email. And we found that already 2/3 of the community are either at a 5 or higher, and we think 5 is probably, I could go either way, I'm not too sure. So that means 2/3 of the community is already in a place where they would feel comfortable making that change. We also do want to point out, though, we're not disregarding the rest of the list. We know that a lot of people are very comfortable with Outlook, and that's because there's a familiarity with it. There's a business practice that has been built around the functionality of Outlook. What we're excited to detail out today and as we move forward is that all of that functionality that's in Outlook, we've been able to make sure is over with Gmail. That's something that we're actively building upon. That's why these Q&A questions are so important. As things have come up, we've gone and said, oh, that's a great thing. We need to make sure that that's there. So really, we're excited that there is a wonderful new tool that could keep that functionality but give you a lot more flexibility. So we'll talk about that more as we move forward. And then another really great piece, 88% of the community that was surveyed already has a personal Gmail account. So that means that a lot of people are already using it in their personal lives. There's at least a core understanding of how to send and receive emails in this new environment. What we have found, though, is that even with that 88%, there's a lot of personal usage is not the same as business usage. So we want to make sure that familiarity that comes with using an email system every single day, that all of those tools that are available, this functionality that I keep saying is there inside of Gmail, that we show you how to access that because it's built in. We're really excited about that. So next I want to talk about the benefits. Why are we moving? Why are we making this change? Well, there's a number of reasons. I'll go through each one of these individually, but real quick, it's unlimited storage, easy sharing, great collaboration tools, there's a great mobile experience, and data access wherever you may go. So with Google Apps for Education, we've all seen this email. This is our our limited storage at the moment. When you get that, you know, okay, now I got to spend some time. And if you ignore it, then your inbox stops working. That's never fun. That's gone. Now, this is fun. Receiving an email that says my inbox is full seems counterproductive. But even if you do make that change, moments later, your inbox is full again. We talked to some people that their inbox is filling up almost on a weekly basis. That must be incredibly frustrating. We want to find a way around that. So that's what we've been looking towards. And then this is great. It all happens. The great thing about this new tool is we're going to have unlimited storage using their storage method for our inbox. That means whether you are on your phone, whether you're at your desk, wherever you may be, you have access to this unlimited storage for your inbox. And it's not just for your inbox. It also translates to your Google Drive. So that opens up new possibilities for how you store information and share it with the people that you work with. Now, what do you do with all of that information? Now you've got this massive inbox. How do you find the pieces of information that you need? Well, we all know Google started out as a search engine. That's what they do. They take what you're trying to look for, and they find out where that piece of information is, and they bring it back to you. They do that really well. There's a couple ways you can do that, specifically with your email. There's a quick search right at the top of the email bar. You can start out. I was trying to find an email from Scott Bolin. He is our Senior Director of EIS. They're joining us today. We appreciate that. To Kim Carey with the subject of FAQ. We were looking on the email upgrade. And I was able to punch that in real quick. It realized that I was looking for particular pieces of information and pulled that up for me. Additionally, you can't see it on some of these images, but right next to the search button, there's a little drop-down menu, and you can go in and do more granular searches. This is great based now that we've got this additional information. We have new ways of finding that information, and it's a really powerful way of finding that information, and that's built right into the basic Google Apps for Education. So to recap, no more mail archives. All your mail is online, accessible wherever you are. You can store unlimited files inside of your Google Drive, and that search function is fast, speedy, wherever you may be. Next thing we want to talk about is the easy sharing abilities. This is great. We can share files securely with anyone who has a Pepperdine ID. Share those files as selected. As an example, I've got some student workers. I use them to a huge extent. You can actually, they're back helping us with cameras today. Wonderful group of students. And I have a lot of information that I'm trying to share with them. I need them to collaborate with me on a lot of projects. And so what I do is I can selectively decide what sort of access they have to a particular file. Makes it really easy so that I can control the edit access. But if I want them to make comments or I need them to be able to see the document so that they can work on another project based on it, I can set those before I even send it out to them. And as the owner of the document, I can then go in and change that later on if need be. Really great flexibility with how to share information. So moving forward with more easy sharing, one of the things that came up often was the multiple inboxes. We know a lot of people have delegate or have additional access to shared inboxes. One of the great things about this new tool is the way that it handles multiple inboxes. So this is just an example of, this is a picture of my computer. So that first inbox there, that's my Pepperdine email. The second one is my IT communications email. The third one is my IT administration email. I can have all of those running all at the same time, receiving email, and I don't lose any functionality whatsoever. The way that we do that is with delegate access. And that's something that can be set up fairly simply. And in the top right of your screen, if you click on your icon, little box drops down and it shows you all of the accounts that you've been given delegate access to. One click and it opens up in a tab right next to where you are. Fast, simple, really easy to do, and it helps you keep track of all those inboxes you may have previously. To do that, you just do the little add account button there at the bottom. As long as you've been given access, you punch in the username and it knows that you have been given delegate access. And then from there on out, it is generated inside of that browser information. Every time you log in, you can click and access that inbox. One of the other great benefits that we have to all of this is the incredible collaboration. Like I was saying earlier, I've got student workers that I work with, and I'm able to share information with them easily. What I can also do is I can go back and look and see what changes were made while they were working on a project. So we heard about a lot of situations where people would be passing a file back and forth because multiple people had to edit it and make changes. Then you lose track of which version is it, and did that person actually see it? Did they make the change? Did they sign off? That's gone. With Google Docs, what you can do is go and look at the different edits that have been made and track those and see what changes were made, who made it, and at what time. So the different version and who has what version, that is no longer an issue anymore. We've got that all built into the Google Apps system. Another great way to collaborate is with video conference. For a lot of people, that's kind of a prohibitive piece. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. It's hard to find the best solution. One of the easier solutions that we've found is actually with Google Hangouts. Anytime you open up, one of the great tools now is anytime you open up a calendar item, say you want to create a new meeting and invite a couple people, with one button click, you can add a Google Hangout that will then be part of the meeting request. So if you've got just one, maybe you just want to have a one-to-one conversation, but your coworker is working out of West LA that day. You can still do that. You click that one button. Now, when you send that meeting request out, they just have one link that they click, and it opens up that Google Hangout. That meeting's going great. You're like, you know what? Let's add Greg and Sally to the conversation. Send them the link, and now they can join in on the conversation as well. It's going really well, and you're like, you know what? We need to get the whole team in on this. Let's reschedule for tomorrow. You can add the whole team. Up to 15 people can be on Google Hangout inside of Google Apps for Education. And that, if they have a web camera, great. If they don't, they can still use the microphone on their computer. There's a lot of different ways to do that, and it keeps everyone connected very, very easily. Another piece of that, easy collaboration. You don't have to be on a network to keep doing what you're doing. What that means is it's an offline mode. That functionality is also there with Google Apps for Education. So if you're on the plane, you're not tied up. You can keep working. So that is a functionality that's still there. And we're really excited about that. It's a great feature inside of Google Apps for Education. It's for email. It's for Drive. It's for all of those pieces. You can keep working even if you are outside of a network. Let's just kind of run that back down again. Got real-time editing, video calls. You can edit offline. And when you get back online, your document then syncs to your Google Drive. So like I was saying earlier, you don't know which version of the document there is. If you made changes while you were offline, when you come back on, it syncs with your file that's online that everyone has access to. Really great feature. It's going to really help a lot of people that are mobile focused around what they do. Speaking of mobile, the mobile experience with Google Apps for Education is stellar. Specifically, though, with the Google branded application. So that's for your phone and tablet. That's going to be Gmail. That's going to be Google Drive, Google Calendar. One of the reasons why that works so well is the way that it handles all of your different inboxes, all of your different logins. It can handle those seamlessly inside of your mobile app. So we are encouraging you to use those Google applications as you move forward. And there's a couple different ways you can view your inbox. We know some people really like to have access to all of their emails in the same inbox, regardless of where they are, personal, work, doesn't matter. It's easier for them just to see them all together. In the mobile app, you can do that. You just say, hey, I want to show all of these in the same place. And as you go about your day, all of those emails will be filtering into that one single look. So that's something that was important for a lot of people, and we have that there. Again, like I said, you have mobile access to your Drive and your email. So that means if you've got a Google Doc that you're sharing with somebody and maybe you left a little bit earlier that day, but it's a really important document and somebody needs to get it to you. If you have already left your desk, if you have the Google app, if you have the application on your phone, you can open up that document from your phone, make the quick change, sign off, whatever it may be, and then it saves automatically. You go about your day. That flexibility is incredible, and it's across the entire mobile experience with Google Apps for Education. Additionally, that search functionality, like I said, is also part of that email or that application for your mobile device. So you can search Drive documents, emails, regardless of where you are, and you have that exact same search capability. Really great tool. Just kind of rehash this. The Gmail app, we said it's great. Mobile experience is wonderful. You can keep offline versions of the document. And another piece is the global address list. That's that big list of everyone's emails. Again, that is now extended to your mobile device. So if you can't remember the name of the guy that was in that department that you had a brief meeting with, you still have access to our global address list, regardless of where you are and what device you're on. So that's a new feature that we're really excited about that could make your lives a lot easier. So one of the last benefits, benefit number 5, it kind of is, you see a pattern moving around here, but getting your data anywhere. Well, really that's asking, how are we able to do this? Because in the past, if you were on a laptop and you wanted to access your Pepperdine email, you had to log in through a VPN. There's a couple of steps you have to take, and then you can get access to that. Well, with Google Apps for Education, we have actually increased security in terms of how our data is pushed to and coming back. So now, if you are at a coffee shop, you're on a wireless network, you're at home, wherever you may be, that data is now encrypted going out and coming back. So that means you don't have to log into a VPN server. You can log in wherever you are, and it's safe to use accessing your data. Let's see. Again, like I said, there's no issues with versioning. So if you go offline and come back, that information is synced. We are doing a lot more testing with the offline applications, and it's really is great. We've got a lot of hands-on experience with it, and it's been working really well for us. We're excited that that's a piece of the puzzle that's already baked in. So like I said, one last recap. No VPN access. We have better internet connections. Connections are now safe using data encryption. It will sync copies to your laptop. That's a piece I didn't mention. If you want to keep a local version of your document, you can do that. There's a quick download that then creates basically a folder, a new folder on your computer. And anytime you save to that folder, it syncs automatically with your Google Drive in the cloud. Really great. It offers a lot of flexibility with how you handle those documents. So, like I said, those are the benefits. I want to look at some of the main frequently asked questions that we've identified. Specifically, though, again, if you haven't already, please make use of this Q&A form. Like I mentioned, we're going to follow up after today. If you've got any questions about the email or Google Apps in general, please feel free to ask those. It's not just today. If in 2 weeks you think, oh, shoot, I totally forgot to ask that question, please feel free to submit here. We're going to be monitoring that moving towards the go live date. So some of the top questions that we have. These are from one-on-one conversations, the focus groups, the surveys. We got a lot of people talking, and we found some of these main 3 topics. So can you keep the functionality of Outlook? What about security and privacy? And then how is this all going to happen? So the first one, yes, you absolutely can keep the same functionality as Outlook. Mail, contacts, calendar, all of those things are going to migrate over when we make that switch. Another great feature, and this is one that's come up a lot, and I want to make sure that this is noted, conversation view, desktop notifications, a preview pane, offline mode, those are all things that are part of this new batch of products that we have. So Google Apps for Education can mimic even just the way that your email looks to how you've been familiar with it in Outlook. We hope that will cause a much easier transition. It's not a totally new experience. With a few clicks inside of the settings, you can mimic the same sort of look you're familiar with Outlook. So we're really excited that's an ability that we have there. And again, like we said, the best functionality we've found was Gmail inside of the browser, and it is fully functional. So it has all those features that we really love. So I just wanted to show you a quick example. A little bit hard to see, at least up on this front projector. So just an example of this conversation view. this is the view that is a little bit confusing. It stacks, for some people, it stacks the conversation piece by piece on top of each other. Well, this is another example. This is that same thread of emails in that more single email style that we're used to with Outlook. That was a couple clicks and I was able to make that happen. Additionally, that's a view of the preview pane. Again, just a couple of clicks and I was able to have access to that. It gives you that flexibility so that you can switch back and forth depending on what you would prefer. And desktop notifications. Those are part of the package that's built in with Google Apps for Education, specifically looking at email. So that same functionality that we're really familiar with Outlook, still there, right alongside of it, still part of it. So the other piece of the puzzle, one of the other main questions we got was, is Google Apps secure? In short, yes. Specifically, those questions are based around the way that Google makes money now is through mining information. When you do a search, it wants to do advertising. That's their business model. Inside of Google Apps for Education, as part of their core service agreement, indexing information for advertising is disabled entirely. It is not part of their business model for Google Apps for Education. So that ability for them to advertise based on email information is not there. So that's one we really want to make sure that is very clear. That piece of the security puzzle we're very comfortable with where it is. In addition, like I said, we actually have new security features with that data encryption going back and forth. That's on your mobile device, that's on your laptop, that's on your computer. That is a new piece of security that we're able to offer moving to Google Apps for Education. So just kind of recap on that. Google Apps for Education, we have enhanced privacy. There's no marketing in the core apps data. All data is encrypted. And then I didn't mention it, but just as a brief reminder of our confidential and restricted information, that policy is not changing, but it is important to note that any confidential information, if you are sharing it, don't share it at random. Make sure that you are controlling who has access to that information. Google Drive actually makes it really easy to control that with the different security settings that you can set for who can see a particular particular document. It's a very easy thing to keep track of who is able to see it. And in general, restricted information, and this is not a new piece, this is exactly the same policy as we have now. Restricted information should not be shared in the cloud. So remote storage, you don't want to do with restricted information. That has nothing to do with Google Apps, but just while we're talking about that type of information, just a good chance to remind you, restricted information should stay local. When and how will we upgrade? Well, right now we're looking at a couple of different time frames, but specifically we know it's going to be after the spring semester, but before the fall. So that should be mid-2016, somewhere in that time frame is what we're looking at. So what is IT going to do for that upgrade process? Well, right now there are a group of really, really smart individuals in the IT department that are working relentlessly to come up with, to flesh out this plan for making that happen. So on the back end, you're not even going to see it happen. Your inbox, your calendar, your contacts, all of that's going to move over. Anything that you have saved locally, that's going to be your archive. It's a PST file if you're familiar with that file type. That is going to be a secondary process that we've got it's a 3 or 4 step process, and then that information can then be uploaded to your new inbox. Specifically, the information that will be transferred over is whatever is in your Microsoft Exchange inbox. If you're curious what those emails are, what exactly is there, it's whatever is in your webmail. So if you go to webmail.pepperdine.edu, whatever is there is what's going to be, at that time, what's going to be transferred over. So if it's that archive information, that's actually saved on your computer. That's a separate process to upload it to the inbox. But we have a way to do that. Really simple. We've actually run quite a few tests on it. Really effective, and it works really well. Very easy to use. So that concludes sort of our basic benefits. Why are we doing this? What's some of the data we found? So right now we do want to open it up more to that, again, to that Q&A time. So I'm going to invite Scott Bolin up. He is our, like I mentioned, he is our Senior Director of Enterprise Systems. So he's going to be joining me up here for the Q&A.
So we had a good number of questions via the online form. Thanks to those of you that submitted them. You're welcome to continue to submit them. I'm just going to start from the top. How will the room reservation calendars work with the new Gmail system? Will they be carried over? So the university is working outside of this project on a central room reservation system. It's called CollegeNet, and it's provided by a company called 25 Live. Jordan Logan is heading that up. And so in the long term, those room reservations will go through that system. That will be both conference rooms and room scheduling for classrooms. In the meantime, we can carry over what we would refer to as like system accounts, like you have an account that's like PCC Conference Room 1. That can be carried over into Google, and we can set up your access to that via delegate access that we talked about, and we'll talk about a little bit further on. How can we do group emails, such as all faculty, all natural science, class rosters? Who will set up and maintain these groups if available? So these groups, these email groups, some people refer to them as distribution lists. These email groups, there are of two types. One are that they're pulled automatically from another system, and for most of those groups, that's PeopleSoft. So for example, PeopleSoft knows exactly who's in Computer Science 101, Section 1, and it creates a distribution list for that. Those distribution lists will be moved over automatically to Google. There's another kind of distribution list that's an ad hoc distribution list. So I'm making this up, but imagine that there's a distribution list called emergency@pepperdine.edu. There's no algorithm that I can pull out to say, like, these are the people that need to receive that. That is maintained maybe by someone in HR. So those are more ad hoc. And we are working currently, in fact, we have a meeting coming up this Thursday to talk about how those will be maintained. Most likely, it'll be similar to Outlook in that there'll be an owner of that group that you can email to be added or removed from that group. So the two types of group, the Computer Science 101, if I can figure it out what it is in PeopleSoft, that's going to be automated, not going to be a problem. The ad hoc groups, we're working on a solution. I'm confident that we can find a solution to that. Will we still be able to view inboxes from other Pepperdine EDU accounts we maintain that are more generic? In our office, we maintain 3. Yeah, so that's the delegation that we talked about. And what that means, the advantages of that is that you no longer need to share a password around. So let's say we have CIO@pepperdine.edu. That's an account that Jerry and Jonathan, Brenda, and a few other people need access to. There is one person that has that password, and they just give access to other people from that. So that access can be added or removed. If you have Seaver admissions at pepperdine.edu, and you have a litany of student workers that are coming and going, you don't need to change that password every time a student worker comes and goes, because they don't know the password. You just add or remove their delegate access. Delegate access can give you really rich, thick access into someone's inbox or into their calendar. So for people with assistants, personal assistants, that's the ideal solution for them. Significantly more secure. Let's see. What is the searchability? Can I find messages on topics and from people? So Google made their money on search. The Google search is different than the Outlook search. For example, it's faster and it's more robust. But it is different in how, in what it expects you to write in and those kind of things. There's lots of documentation online for that. We're happy to meet with you individually, but my expectation is, and my experience has been, that you are going to experience a much faster and more robust search.
Real quick, I do also want to add, within the search, if you've experienced in the past, if you had an email that was in a folder, you had to remember what folder it was in or what subfolder it was in, and then search inside of that folder. That's gone. You can, with labels, you can do any search anywhere, and it's going to look through all of that email that you have. So it simplifies that process.
We will still need to delete a lot of messages in any system. How hard will that be? So two thoughts on this. One is that you have unlimited storage, and so if you're deleting messages to make the system faster, you don't need to do that anymore. But there are departments where they have a strict retention policy and they need to delete old emails. You can delete those emails via search. So probably the easiest way for you to do that is, hey, I want to find all emails that are older than 365 days. Select all and delete. That is different than archive. Archive sort of puts it away, takes it out of your inbox, but it saves it. Delete puts it in your trash can. And for Gmail, that trash can is then emptied every 30 days. Messages older than 30 days are deleted in sort of the biblical sense of the term. You can also go into that trash can and delete them yourself in a very permanent sense. Advertising in the eyes of Google on any message. So Google used to scan EDU emails for the purpose of harvesting them for advertising. They no longer do that. If you're interested, I can show you the documentation on that, but they no longer do that. And so it's confusing when people search because you'll see historical articles where it was a big deal and they've stopped. We get into sort of the technical things here. Google reads your email, right? And it makes sense because if I'm going to search for an email from Sue, right, and Google has never read my email, then it'll never be able to find that email from Sue. Right? And so in order to search for things, Google, yeah, absolutely scans my email and processes it and indexes it and those kind of things. But it does not harvest that information to target our faculty, staff, or our students with advertising. The one downside to switching to online cloud-based email is the availability of the internet. Are there plans for how to keep productivity up in the case of the internet going down? For instance, during campus power outages in the past, I've still been able to look at and draft emails using the power until the power internet is restored. So, big picture, Google is available 99.9% of the time, 24/7, 365. Our current, what we refer to as Exchange or Outlook system, is taken down regularly. One reason we take it down is to apply updates. Another reason we take it down is to back things up. We literally print things to tape and ship them off to a place called Iron Mountain. So your email will be available all in all over a much longer time period than your current Exchange system. That said, the internet does go down. In that situation, if you set up offline mode, it's similar to what your email will still be available. You can still send emails and they'll queue up. We've used it, a lot of our team have used it like when they've been on an airplane. There's no Wi-Fi access on the airplane. You set it to offline mode. You're reading, you're deleting, you're replying, those kind of things. And then you get to your hotel room, you get on the Wi-Fi, and those emails are sent and synced up kind of thing. Offline mode is something that you have to set up by yourself. It's not set up by default. If you Google that, there's some really easy walkthroughs, or you can call the IT help desk. What is the size limit for attachments? So natively sending attachments, they are limited to 25 megabytes. If you want to send things larger than that, Google will automatically store that on your Google Drive and will send that person a link that only they can access via that email. So functionally, I think that the limit is somewhere up in the low gigabytes of size. If you have something bigger than that, then meet with us and we can work out a solution. But significantly larger than what we had with an Exchange. What's going to happen to archived and personal folders? So folders in Exchange are moved over within Google using something called labels. And let me tell you why labels are better than folders. If I get an email from Jonathan that says, you know, henceforth no vacation will be approved for Fridays, and Scott, please, update the team on this. In addition, here's my response to a question you had on the email upgrade. And lastly, here's a cat picture, right? I want to put that in 3 different folders. I want to put it in my cat folder, I want to put it in my policy folder, and I want to put it in my from the CIO folder, right? In Exchange, you can't do that. You have one email and it goes in one folder, much like you have in a physical file cabinet. In Google, you can label it with the 3 different labels. I can label it cat pictures, I can label it CIO, and I can label it policy. And so when I search that folder or that label, it would come up in those 3 different spots. So very similar, but there's some improvements to that using labels, or some people call them tags. The folders that you have in Exchange will move over as labels within Google. And we can work that. If you're a real heavy user of folders, we can meet with you and help you out with that. What will happen? Let's see. How do we keep secure information local, and how will it be shared? I'm going to try to read a little bit into that question. I go back down to it. So Kim Carey, our CSO, is our Chief Security Officer for the university, is a great resource for this. As an overview, we have two types of information, or three: public, but really what we're talking about is confidential and restricted. Confidential information would be things like grades. Restricted information would be things like credit card numbers and social security numbers are the common ones. For restricted information, let's just talk about social security numbers. Those need to be encrypted when they're at rest and when they're in transit. So as they move through the internet, they need to be encrypted, and when they're on your local computer, they need to be encrypted. So Gmail is not an appropriate place. Exchange is not an appropriate place for restricted information for social security numbers and things like that, because it's not encrypted, right? Gmail's not encrypted, just like Exchange wasn't encrypted. We can encrypt your laptop. We can provide you other encryption services. That would go through the Chief Security Officer. For confidential information, the policy is it needs to be password protected. So you can put confidential information. You can email around grades, those type of things. And there's a really long list of confidential information, because in order to get to your email, I would need to know your password. So it's password protected.
Scott, can you clarify the difference between the HTTPS encryption or security versus what you were saying, data has to be encrypted for restricted information?
Sure. So if you can think about it, Gmail kind of half meets the policy in that when the email is floating through the internet, right, it is encrypted. So if I were to grab your email out of the sky and look at it, I wouldn't be able to read it. But when it lands at Gmail, it is no longer encrypted, right? And so that's a violation for restricted information for social security numbers and that kind of stuff. It's an improvement, as we mentioned, on Exchange, in that right now in Exchange, and you have to be pretty technically advanced, if I were to grab your email out of the sky as you send it, if I were able to do that and I looked at it, I would be able to read that. That will no longer be the case with with Gmail. Does that make sense? Will it be possible to transfer archived emails? Yes. Or it says, would it be possible to transfer archived email or another type of searchable files? So Gmail is appropriate for your emails, and we can help you or provide you documentation on how to upload your PST or your archived files. For other type of files, we can talk about Google Drive. You can upload Word documents in there, Excel documents. There's also a native Google Sheets that you can use, and those would be searchable. Will we still tell people to email us at first.last@pepperdine.edu? Or the Gmail shortened email, first initial, last name. So, due to historical reasons, all of us have two email addresses. I'm sbolin@pepperdine.edu. I'm also scott.bolin@pepperdine.edu. There are advantages and disadvantages to that. I think within Gmail, you can still send and receive emails as either sbolin or scott.bolin. As part of this transition, we're going to try to start steering people towards first.last. And try to move the university in that direction. Having two email addresses for a lot of services make it look like you're two different people. And so it is a solution that we're working on. We're not going to get rid of your first.last. We're not getting rid of sbolin. That'll still be active. People can still reach you at that. But long term, 5 years, 8 years out, we would like to see the university using more first.last. It simplifies a lot of things in the back end and simplifies the Google search as well. Your email address as well will still be your Pepperdine email address. You'd have to be pretty technically savvy to get an email from me and be like, oh, Scott's using Gmail. He's not using Exchange. You may be able to tell from the formatting, but you'd have to go into the header and those kind of things. So you're not going to be scott.bolin@gmail.com. It's still a Pepperdine address. I have several archived folders. When they are transferred over, will they be identified as such so they don't land in my inbox? So part of this is making sure that I understand the vocabulary you're using. Your inbox is a specific spot in your email where when you receive an email, it goes to your inbox. If your email is archived, it will be imported into an area that is not your inbox. You might think of it as, so maybe you have a folder called, from the CIO type things. It would be imported into that, but you wouldn't log in and see in your, if we're both using this term correctly, or the same way, in your inbox you wouldn't be overloaded with the thousands of emails that you've stored. They would be stored in a different area of Gmail. Will folders be moved over intact? Yes, they will be. If you have nested folders, the naming of them might be a little bit odd. Like if I have my nested folder is important people, and then nested in that I have CIO. That tag will be moved over as important folders /CIO. I can go into the back end of Gmail. You can go in your own account, and you can rename that whatever you want, and it'll update everything. And I think that takes us to the end of the questions. We're available. You're welcome. I would encourage you to use this. We would like everyone at the university to have all their questions answered before we move to Gmail, and we're trying to make this as easy a process as we can. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Again, this link is available. And yeah, so we're looking at mid-2016. Really, all we have is after this semester, but before the fall. So we're honing in on a date. We will let you know in advance. It's not going to be a surprise like, oh, hey, tomorrow we're switching. We're definitely going to let you know well in advance. We're looking at a month and a half time frame, so you have time to plan for it. But right now, that's kind of the time frame we're looking at. This link, like I said, I'll say it again, is still available. If you want to share that with somebody, if they've got a question, they weren't able to make it today, please feel free to pass that along. We are going to respond to every single question in email format. And then, like I said, if it's a new question, we're going to add it to our form. Because if you've got that question, we're pretty sure somebody else does. All right? Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time. We're done a little bit early, but we want to let you go on your way. And we'll be up here just a little bit for a while afterwards if you've got any additional questions. Thanks, everyone.